welcome to another episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast, episode 24. We got AJ from Crafted in NJ.
Yo, yo.
And we have myself, Josh, from North Country Woodworking. I almost said Crafted in NJ for myself too, man.
Yeah. See, it happened to me the one time where I almost said crafted in like North Country or something like that. I don't even remember now.
Well, you know, we've been doing this so long, we just use each other's names.
No, I kind of like my name. I don't know. I don't fit like a Josh. Like when people look at me, they don't look at me and go, you know, you could be a Josh. I can't see
you're just making this weird now. I was talking about shop names, but you're talking about real names.
You said name, and, you know, first thing that came to my mind was I'm looking at you going like, you don't look like an Anthony or, you know, an AJ. Stick with Josh. Josh fits you.
Yeah, I definitely would not change my name. What are we doing? Oh, yeah, that's right. We're doing a podcast.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate being here this week. Talking
thanks
about
for
this week.
having me on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. What's going on in your shop this week?
Well, you know, it's kind of the same thing, except I got a big monkey wrench thrown into the mix. When was it? I think on last weekend. I went to go rip down some 2x4s. I had to joint the one edge, so of course I don't do it on the joiner. I do it on the table saw with a jointing jig, and got a few of them ripped down, and then, you know, shut the table saw down, let it spin down, got my next board swapped onto the jig, and flipped on off switch on, and it just hummed, and then it popped my breaker, and I'm not sure what happened from there. So kind of flipped it a few times, spun the blade, you know, by hand without it plugged in. And everybody, I was safe. And, you know, I wasn't trying to turn it on while trying to spin the blade. But, you know, I thought maybe there was a dead spot or something in the motor. So I moved it, and it would kind of turn over, but not so much. And long story short, I had to run to my father's the next day and get his DeWalt contractor. So pretty much the same one you got. And
back to the Stone Age much?
Let me tell you, I don't know how you guys do it with that little section right before the blade, because there's like no setup, like
none whatsoever.
You know, and I was so uncomfortable with it, but I had to use it, and you know, I needed to get these flags made, so I just powered through it. Of course, I was being safe while using it, you know, but the thing was, I didn't want to set it on the floor. I didn't have a table that was like at a perfect height like my rigid is. And so what I did was I took two sawhorses with a piece of 3/4 ply on top. So it actually sat a little bit higher than I liked. And I'm not a tall guy, so I wasn't doing anything dangerous or anything like that, but it felt kind of dangerous because it was so unusual to me. You know, having that small work area right in front of the blade was like, wow. Like you literally put the piece of wood on there, and next thing you know, it's hitting the blade. Like there was no like lead up time to it hitting the blade. So it was just odd. But other than that, got the flags all ripped down, and that same day, which would be the weekend, so that was on Saturday, I ripped the motor out of the rigid. Why are you looking up to the sky, sir? Did I say the date wrong? Was it Sunday? I think Sunday. I don't know. This past weekend, I think.
No, I have airplanes flying over.
Oh, I thought you might have heard voices or something like that. No, nothing.
Not today. No,
it's not Nick outside your window.
Episode. No, he's not knocking.
Oh, okay. But I ripped out the motor of the rigid and you know, tore it apart. And I watched the video on YouTube, and pretty much the guy scared me when he disassembled his whole table saw, the whole thing, literally soup to nuts. It was literally the whole table saw, and I didn't understand it. At the first 5 minutes of the video, it was him flipping over the table saw on its face, so pretty much on the tabletop, and then he disassembled it from the bottom down. And I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this. There's no way I'm flipping my table saw and disassembling the whole thing. There has to be an easier way. And there's a big access panel in the back. And the motor is actually held on by one bolt and one nut. And that's it. And the main reason that in his comments, he said that the motor was extremely heavy and he didn't want to fight gravity. The motor was not that heavy and I had it out. I said 5 minutes on my story. It was 10. So I apologize for lying to everybody. It was 10 minutes I had the motor out. And I filmed.
I mean, you exaggerated on Instagram? That might be a crime.
I know. Please don't tell anybody that I said 5 minutes instead of 10. But all I have to say is that was a very easy motor to take out. I disassembled it. I filmed the whole thing and then realized I filmed it not holding the phone horizontally. I filmed it holding the phone vertically. So I'm kind of scared of putting a video out on YouTube with a vertical phone film. I don't know if it's going to go over well. But, I mean, it was insightful. I was giving a tutorial on kind of how to rip the motor out, how to tear a motor apart, and kind of what I found, which was absolutely nothing because everything was fine. The centrifugal switch worked. The capacitors were all spot on. I tested them. They were fine. Everything spun. No bearings were locked up. I put it all back together, and guess what? It works. It works like a charm. So I'm really not sure. What I think might have happened was inside there's a little centrifugal switch. And I think what happened was as I was jostling the motor around, it might have been stuck, so it released itself, and now it works. So anyway, that was my big issue with the table saw, and I was devastated. I literally walked upstairs to Kim and went, "You won't believe what just happened." And then I whispered "saw stop" to her a few hundred times, and she didn't bite on that. I did price it out that night, though, and I kind of got a little disappointed. So hopefully soon a saw stop will be in my future. But anyway, besides...
If you get that saw stop, I'm going to definitely want to buy that rigid off of you. So
I'll sell you that. I'll sell you that rigid right now for $2,500.
For $2,500, I think that's a steal.
I'm telling you, look at me. I used it. It's in pristine condition, and it's got some stickers on it. What could be better?
Yeah, and you didn't have to turn it over either.
And I didn't have to turn it over and then risk. My biggest fear of like watching that was like, oh my God, everything's going to be out of calibration now. Like everything's going to be off. Now I'm going to have to set everything back up.
When you told me that, I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like there has to be easier ways. Something they would come up with, you know. And then I saw your videos and I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Fighting gravity with a small motor like that, I mean, I'm sorry, but I would not flip over my table saw for anything. I mean, like, unless I absolutely had to.
You know, I was really looking at it going like, okay, if the motor was twice the size and filled with lead, then maybe I would say I wouldn't want gravity to be pulling down on that motor. But the way the motor is held on, I literally put a little pressure upwards, unscrewed the nut with my one hand, and I had the motor supported because it was on a stud. So it's not like I had to fight getting like, you know, a floating motor with a bolt. It was held on by the stud. So literally I just let it fall down I cradled it like a baby, like a newborn. I just held it. Or I held it like my little cat. But anyway.
Same thing.
It came out, no problem. And it works. And I don't understand. But anyway, I reached out to Rigid. I'm not even going to go there. Just a long story. But anyway, currently I have a lot more orders than I can handle, and I'm overwhelmed. So I'm taking the next this Thursday and Friday off. So Thursday, when this podcast drops, I will be off and in my shop. And then Friday I'll be off as well to catch up on all my work. I've been having problems with machines. My grinder. I don't know if I mentioned this last episode or not.
No, not that I remember.
Right? I don't think so. But my grinder died finally after I think 15 years. It finally died. And I had to bite the bullet and buy a new one. And once I have something for a long time, I like it because it grew into me. And now I have to buy something a little, you know what I'm talking about. I grew to love this thing. It was my favorite. I wish I could fix it. I took that one apart, but I can't figure out what the hell's wrong with that one. So anyway, I found actually a double pack of Makita grinders on Home Depot's website. it wasn't a special or anything like that, but they were a little bit cheaper than buying them individually. And 2 worked out really well for me because I can keep the flap disc on one and then the Kutzall disc on the other instead of changing back and forth. So I got flags to grind out and Christmas gifts. Everything that I have to do right now is pretty much Christmas gifts, and I'm down to the wire because I want to get them to the people before Christmas, not Christmas Eve. Like, I don't want to become Santa Claus on Christmas Eve and be delivering packages to everybody's house under the trees because I don't know if I can get down the chimney. I don't know how he does it.
It's magic, man. It's all magic.
That magic. I got a quick question.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
What kind of cookies do you think Santa really prefers?
Well, personally, I've always left him oatmeal raisin cookies because I think that's one of the only cookies he loves.
You don't think he's like a traditional like a chocolate chip cookie, like just a standard chocolate chip cookie?
Not in my house.
I was just curious. I know we were talking about Santa last episode, so I just had to bring that back up because I was very curious.
What do you leave him? Where do you leave the big man? What in your house? What cookie goes?
I can't see. I don't know how your cat is, but mine would take Santa's cookies, and then I'd find an unhappy Santa because he would have no cookies.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for that, man.
I got to put them under lock and key.
Cat in with you at night.
Those cookies have to be well guarded because I know if I left out, what I would leave out is I think I'd leave him a mixture. I would leave him some chocolate chip cookies and also some Oreos. Who could pass up Oreos?
Okay, I could see an argument there. I mean, you're definitely, you're spreading out the chances. He can kind of pick and choose what he wants.
He could pick and choose because, like if he had, let's just say he went to the house prior and he had chocolate chip cookies. Now he might want an Oreo.
But you can't make it Oreos. And if you make the cookies, that's like you spending the extra time, giving him something for the stuff he's about to give you. And then if you open up a package, throw it on a plate and say, peace, I would love to watch that process.
Now
that should be a YouTube video.
You have now challenged me. Now I'm going to have to make Oreos.
Yes, you do. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
AJ is going to turn into a cook, and he's going to make Oreos.
I'm a very good cook, by the way, sir. That's like
I believe it. I can honestly believe it. So am I.
Anyway, besides all that, I got a 4-foot flag that I have to carve out on the CNC. Now, my CNC is only 35 by 35, so I have to do this in a lot of steps, and it's not going to be a lot of fun. So that one's going to take me a little bit. It's going to be a 1776 Union, and then it's going to be a Second Amendment quote in the stripes, like I kind of did with Bear Country flags. And it's going to look a little bit different, but this one's going to be 4 foot, so I have to break it up into sections and do it. Also, the same client for that 4-foot flag ordered also a welcome sign that is about 5 foot tall, and they want it to look like an American flag and very rustic. So I have that on order as well. Oh, and I just had my second. That's right, people. Second Etsy sale. And this one's getting shipped to California. I know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you in the back. Thank you. Yep. So 2 things sold on Etsy. And this one is going to be shipped to California. And it is a rustic American flag coat rack. So actually, I got 2 orders of those. One's going to Cali. One's going local. And on top of all that stuff that I ranted and raved about, we are doing. I don't want to know. I don't want to. I'm not going to steal your thunder because I don't want to mention it yet.
Okay, we could do that a little bit later. That's fine. It's up to you.
No. Well, you're going to get into it with what's going on in your shop.
Yeah, not much going on in there, but if you wrapped yours up, I'll go ahead and head into what's been going on this week for me.
I'm all good, sir. You go ahead. What's
passing the torch.
Yes. What is happening in the shop of Josh?
In the shop of Josh. Well, this week has been busy, but not necessarily in the shop. I did a lot of traveling. I try to keep you guys updated a little bit here and there if you follow my stories. But I did a lot of driving, got a lot of listening in, some podcasts, a lot of thinking about what I want to do moving forward with the shop, a lot of thinking about what I want to do with Safety Week, which is now this week. We'll get into that in a little bit. But what's happening in the shop? You guys kind of probably want to know what's going on currently. So I have a flag I need to carve out. I've been stalling a little bit on that only because my CNC broke. I fixed it. I set it up for when I got back. And I haven't been able to start it at a decent time to finish it. And I don't want to start half of a carve and then start the next half the next day because I can only imagine that being an issue. And during this trip, I've also looked up some of the problems I had and how to fix them. And basically what I wasn't doing, and you actually mentioned it in a previous episode, is I wasn't homing my machine every time I did something.
Yep.
So I think because of that, I really messed up my last carve with it. And now I'll be homing every time I do any kind of change and go from there. Go ahead.
Now, one thing on that is after one carve, I do not rehome it. So let's say I had like 5 carves to do. I won't do a carve, home. I home as soon as I turn it on and right before I turn it off. And that's unless for some reason I screwed something up, with zeroing it, then I'll send it back home to reset itself. But usually during like the carving period, even if it's different carves, I'll just keep going and send it home later. So I don't know the way you were going to do it. I don't know if you were going to home, carve, home, carve, home, carve.
So basically what I found, and this plays into that one mistake where I broke my belt, is when I start it up, I am going to home it, set the X and Y, and then when I change out a bit, I'll be use the last position. Because what happened was, and I believe this is what happened, I haven't been homing the machine. I've been manually basically finding the X and Y and using that. So it didn't know where it was. So when I did the last position and it went to go do the other carve, it thought it was in one location and it wasn't. And that's why I think it plunged the way it did, because at that particular place is where it was supposed to pick up. So that was my fault. And I haven't been homing it because I believe it's the Y-axis limit switch. It's not really, it's a homing switch. Use proper nomenclature. The switch doesn't stick out enough to hit the bolt before the actual metal plate does. So when it homes, it'll just kind of like sit there and try to home and until I manually do the switch, it doesn't home right. So I did some reading, and other people had this issue, and you can bend that switch a little bit to actuate a little sooner. You can put a little dab of like super glue on there to make it so that it will stick out a little further. There's ways to fix it. I'm going to go ahead and do that before I start this next carve. And I want to make sure that it homes properly and do it step by step the way I've read.
Yeah.
Now, I have a belt-driven CNC. Unlike you, I have to, when it goes back to the homing position, there's a hard stop where it actuates the actual homing switch. Now, that is only on one side of the X axis. So if it goes back too far, it might go out of alignment. I would need to have another hard stop on the other side to keep it exactly aligned. But I did a little bit of reading, and again, someone made a little stop block essentially. And when they go to home, they just go onto the right-hand side, and they make sure that distance is the same as the other side. They call it a day. So they have a reference block for that. Now, there are ways to probably do this automatically. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and utilize these different techniques, get it to work, and then basically carve that flag out because I need to get it out. I promised it before Christmas, and once I get the carve done, it basically goes down to standing and then, making the rails for the coins and getting it out the door. So that's the only reason it's been kind of on hold is because I've been trying to figure out issues before I went and just had the same issue on the finished piece. Moving on to other shop projects, I have a cutting board that was ordered, I believe, from Florida. I haven't got the shipping address, but from what I understand, it's going down to Florida.
Nice.
And it's going to be a team logo. I got to carve on there once I complete it. I already picked out the wood. I'm going to have to do some cutting and getting it glued together here sometime soon. Get that carved up. I also have another coin rack I'll be doing for a friend. It's a surprise, so I'm not going to really get into that for their spouse. So I'm just going to, leave it kind of, not going to get into it.
Yeah.
And then I have some other jobs I'm pricing out and seeing if I can get it done by Christmas as well. One being ornaments for one of the squadrons on base and a couple other little things. But, I haven't really got in the shop. I've been trying to do some stories every night because this week finally is safety week. And Trails Custom Woodworks and AJ from Crafted to NJ are joining me doing this safety week. The first post I did, the first story was about lights in your shop. And this today, I think, what was it? I did it about apparel in your shop as well. I wanted to start off with some of the lightest stuff I can think about, and it was essentially lighting in the shop has changed for me. So when I started, I only had the lights that were in there, and obviously I've installed other lights since, and now I don't have a dark area. But I remember when I first started, I'll be doing projects and I'm straining my eyes to see different things.
Yep.
And I was messing up. I was causing mistakes. I actually got some cuts here and there because of it. It was unsafe. So lighting in the shop is a safety issue that you should address. Buy some lights off Amazon. That's what I did. I got for $25 each, and there are the best lights in there. In fact, I'm probably going to add 2 more right next to the other lights, and that will light my shop up better than anything else.
I have
Words
to
are
agree.
hard, man.
Yeah, they are. I have to agree with that lighting. That was a good one when I saw that.
Well, I'm trying to think of things that people might not think of. Honestly, when I first started out, I went out there, and when I thought safety, I'm turn it on, watch for the blade, do these, particular things to make sure I don't cut off a finger. Well, there's other stuff that you might not be thinking about because you're so concentrated on the machine you're using and the safety about that. And that goes into what I talked about today. Today's was all about, what you're wearing in the shop. And if you have heat, you can wear less baggy clothes, less sleeves. And if you don't have heat, you have to really watch what you're wearing because they become a danger.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you, but I love sweatshirts. It's always been a thing. And my brother hooked me up with a nice sweatshirt, Carhartt, and I put it on, and I'm like, I can wear this in the shop. And I went in there, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I can't wear this in the shop. I can't. It's baggy, it's comfortable, but if my sleeves got caught in a router bit or my router table or and anything, I'm screwed.
When you mentioned sweatshirts, do you keep your sleeves down or do you ever roll them up? Because when I walk out into my shop, I'm about literally the second my feet hit that shop floor, my sleeves always get pushed up about, above my elbow because of that. I make sure that they're not hanging down, but, I'm constantly wearing a sweatshirt because it's comfortable. I don't have these big baggy things, but still any kind of loose clothing. My strings on my sweatshirts, I don't like the strings, but I always take them off because God forbid you had that string on there and you leaned over something, even a slow spinning blade could grab that and yank it down.
Anything could grab that. Anything. And to answer your question is, sounds stupid, but when I actually wear sweatshirts or any kind of long sleeve, I always end up pushing them up anyway, even when I'm not in the shop. I'm a big short sleeve person, and the only time I'm wearing anything that's long sleeve is because it's cold. I even push that up then. I can't help it. It's I don't like wearing watches for that reason.
Yeah.
It's helped me in the shop because I do it without thinking about it, and I don't have to really worry about it. But in this last year, I've been heating the shop. I have a little, heater there I put on. I heat it up. I get it to, 60, which is comfortable for me to get out there and work with a t-shirt and some jeans. And, I don't have to worry about some of the coats or sweatshirts or, stuff to keep me warm and the dangers behind those themselves. So I wanted to hit on some of those things, like I said before, just so I can, maybe hit on things people are not thinking about.
Yeah.
As the week progresses, I'll be hitting on a little bit more shop essential gear and things that I use that keep me safe and basically allow me to operate better. You guys have been doing some great posts too about some of the equipment you use. Stuff from Microjig and, there'll be other products as well.
Yeah.
That's what I have going on in my shop. I mean, like, I have a bunch of Christmas orders I have to complete. I'll be doing a lot with my X-Carve, and I'll be learning a little bit more about that. Something I realized, and we actually did an episode about it, is I got a lot of tools in a very short time.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of did as well. And I'm still trying to catch up on the learning curve of some of these tools.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you got to be careful, because if you're not learning the tools as they come in the shop, because you get too many, you might fall behind in the operation just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happened with my belt. I mean, like, I wasn't smart on the homing, and I was using last position, and it bit me. It bit the board. So, I mean, that's a part of the safety week too. Our mistakes, we want you guys to learn from them, because I don't want anyone to have to go through some of the stuff I go through, because it's a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
If I can go on here and be like, hey, I messed up. I did this. Don't do this.
Yep.
And you take that away and utilize what you've learned on this podcast in your shop, that's a win for me.
Oh, yeah.
I know you feel the same.
Definitely.
That's why we mentioned the stuff we do.
Yeah. Since we're talking about safety, and I didn't even think about this when I was downstairs, but I'm going to do a post about something else. So anyway, one of the biggest things that I learned, because as I expressed in the post that I did about the Microjig gripper, that I was very afraid of my table saw. I had a Cobalt contractor saw, the one that folds up, and I was deathly terrified of it. Because I was dating Kim, and I tell her I'm going to go downstairs, and I would literally stand there in front of the table saw and go, I can't use it, because I was so afraid of it. And one thing that I was watching some videos when I was still new, and one thing they said was, as I progressed, they go, if a cut feels unsafe, it is unsafe. Like if you lay a board on the table saw, I've done it today, not today, but just in the past when I was jointing some of the boards and then ripping them down into the stripes for the flags, I'm looking at the board going, ooh, I don't like how it's sitting. Like, I went to go push it into the saw blade, and I stopped myself. I shut the blade off and looked at the board and figured it out. Okay, I could do this a little bit better, because the way I was going to do it was a little bit kind of sketchy. And, I don't want to do that. I want to keep all my fingers. I want to be safe in the shop. And if something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. So you got to step back and really reassess it and look at it and go, how can I do this without putting myself in danger or others? You could get really seriously hurt. I mean, it's not like we're playing with teddy bears.
Absolutely. In fact, my first table saw my parents bought me. They bought me a Skill table saw, and I used it, and it finally died on me. But that thing scared me to death. Like, every time I used it, there was something about it. I wasn't quite sure what it was. I can't put my finger on it, but maybe because, I don't know. I honestly can't come up with a good reason, but it did. Yeah. Then I got the Dewalt, and that just sounded quieter. It was operating better. And you brought it up earlier that there's not much infeed before the blade itself. No. So when I'm using any of my jigs, or when I'm, cutting wood, that's what bothers me most about that saw. And that's one of the reasons I've looked at maybe upgrading sooner than I would like to. That's one of the reasons, I kid around about buying yours off you when you get that saw stop.
I wish.
Someday, my friend, someday. But, recently, a little earlier in the year in the fall, Izzy Swan came out with an infeed table. And when I saw that, and he was showing how it operated, how it was installed, everything else, it was exactly what I needed to feel better about my saw. Because having that extra space, I want to say almost like 18 inches close to that. Yeah, it's pretty lengthy. Like, I would have to, measure it to give you exact length, but it's pretty. It's a good amount, and to have that capability to bring back my jigs and like have that room before the blade, it's a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I have not installed it yet because technically with the jig, you have to drill 2 holes into your rail to accommodate the pins, which is not a big deal because like it's just 2 holes. Like it's not the end of the world. And to give me that capability of having that little extra room before the blade, I'm all for it. Because I've literally been there trying to make straight cuts with my table saw jig. And I've had to hold that up and make sure the pieces align and then push it to the blade. And then like once the actual jig is fully on the table, it's already to the point where you got to pull it back. So
that I'm sorry that you just talk about jigs. That joining jig is 4 foot long by like 10 inches wide. So now I'm putting it on like this little postage stamp compared to the rigid. And I'm going like, I have 3 inches on the of the joining jig on the table saw, and the rest of it I'm holding. I'm like, wow, it felt so awkward. Like, I mean, it worked great, but it was like no run up until the blade.
There's not. You're holding most of the weight, trying to make sure it gets a straight cut to the fence.
Yep.
And you're spending a lot of time doing that, and you're trying to make sure you don't cut a finger, and like there's a lot that goes into utilizing that table saw. And with that extra jig from Izzy, the Infi table, I'm really hoping that changes the game. Because honestly, we talked about my shop setup, and I am going to change it, but I'm not going to get a new table saw unless a great deal comes along, or Santa drops it off. So I mean, like for the most part, my shop's going to look similar. It's just going to have some different carts here and there.
Okay.
But when it comes down to it, that's a game changer for my shop. And it's going to add extra layer of safety in my shop. So
definitely,
Safety Week is a go. And anyone listen to this, I mean, like if you guys want to be part of Safety Week, as long as you post something that is true, that has been, used and safe, and, you feel comfortable with someone with no experience using it or doing that technique, post it. Tag us in it. We want to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Because Safety Week is not just, 3 guys posting what they know. It should be about of what the community knows.
And it's not just a week long. It's for as long as you're going to do, woodworking or any type of working in your shop, you're always going to be thinking of different ways that you could do something safer, or you buy something that makes it safer, how you could protect your lungs, how you could protect your fingers, how you could protect this, that, the other thing. You're always thinking of safety. So we just condensed it into a week of, the top things that that Josh uses in his shop, that I use in my shop, and Trails uses. But anytime you guys want to post something about, maybe you bought something that, just like Josh got the Infi table. If you get something that has improved your safety, post it. Even if it's a month from now.
Absolutely.
We want to see it.
Yeah, because we might have forgot about it. We might not know it. We're learning too. We're learning along with you guys. And, that's what we wanted the Sawdust Nation to be about. It's a nation of people that like to make stuff, learn and grow together.
Yeah.
And that being said, I'm going to put a cherry on top of my week. My friend, I have an Etsy store. Yes, I have joined the masses on Etsy.
Let me go follow it
There's
now.
not much there.
Etsy.com.
I have some stickers on there. I have the Sawdust Nation sticker on there for purchase. If you DM me, I'll give you guys a free sticker. Yeah, I just threw those up there for the people that don't listen and that want to pay me $2. But I put on my sweatshirts and my T-shirt up there as well, and hopefully more items to come. I really want to think about what I want to post up there as stuff to sell, essentially. So,
who are you? North Country Woodworking?
Yeah, is it North Country
_
No, they didn't let me do that. It was North country together, and then I think I put WW.
Ah, that's why I can't find you.
Because you couldn't do more than like 16 letters, and like my name is really long, so I had to think outside the box a little bit. It's not the name I like to go with, but
it's okay.
If I could find a better one, I think I could change it still at some point in time.
Well, I mean, it's awesome that you're on there because it's different than, it's different than just selling it on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. You get one thing you're going to notice is that Etsy, a lot of people favorite stuff, and I always get excited because I see the little E pop up in my on my phone, and I get excited because I'm thinking maybe it's another order or something like that, and I see somebody favorite.
Yeah.
And then, not that I get disappointed, but nothing ever came out of those favorites for me as of right now. And I'm just waiting for it and really looking forward to getting more sales on there. One thing I have to do is I really need to sit down and go through my whole Etsy. While I was at work today, I finally added something to it. Kim had set it up a while back, and we did it very bare bones. I've grown tremendously since then, so a lot of my stuff is outdated. Pricing might be outdated. Size-wise might be outdated. So I really need to sit down and really go through that whole thing, update it with all the current stuff, new pictures, this, that, the other thing, and then maybe I'll still, maybe I'll sell a little bit more. But I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. They grow up so fast.
It was a step. Yeah, it was a step. Like, I've been him and hawing about it, thinking about doing it. And when I actually went on there to create it, I was kind of hesitant about it. But that's one of the reasons stickers are up there, because I don't have any products that I want to throw up there at the moment. I have some ideas, and I want to go through, make them, see what people think, and then throw that up there. The stickers were easy kill because, anyone that follows us on Instagram, we're going to give them a free sticker. You know what I'm saying? They DM me, I'm going to give you a sticker, even if you don't have one to give back. But, if someone goes on there and, following Sawdust Nation and they want to buy a sticker, that's awesome. My apparel on there, I would love to see other people wear North Country Woodworking. The shirts are really comfortable. It's actually one of my favorite shirts. And the sweatshirts are really comfortable as well. I have a couple design options on there, and I will be posting more in the future. But I just want to see how these are actually going to turn out and look. And, how people react to them. I've had quite a few visits, and I've had a couple people look and want, haven't bought anything yet, but I've had a lot of people looking. So, it's getting traffic. That's cool.
Good. That's really cool.
But yeah, man, that's my shop week all wrapped up.
Yeah, well, it definitely sounds like you got a lot going on since, you came back from, your trip. And, one thing that I know, I almost went off of my notes that I actually wrote down 1, 2, and 3.
No, people.
Jesus.
He doesn't go off notes.
Oh my God. So anyway, I was actually going to segue into something completely different than the way you want it to go. So anyway, I do believe that we have a question from someone who follows us on Instagram, who is huge with us, both on our regular IGs and then also the Sawdust Nation. He is a proud member of the Sawdust Nation. And his name is Noel from Kumos Woodworking Shop. I'm sorry. I have no idea because he changed it at some point. Oh my God.
AJ's stalling for me while I pull up the actual question, so bear with him.
It's cool. Hello? All right, so it's Kumos.workshop. I do apologize to Noel, but I do know that he at one time had a different name, and then he went through a brand change, and now he is Kumos.workshop on Instagram. Really cool follow. He does some pretty nice work. He always gets some nice wood too. I don't know where he's finding it, but he always winds up with something new. And he just recently got a really killer deal on those Milwaukee cordless tools. Did he show you?
Yeah. He did well getting those. But I actually have his question ready to be queued up. You ready?
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. And here we go.
Wow.
One more time.
Riveting.
What's up, guys? This is Noel from Kumos.workshop, and I have a question for you guys for the pod. So, when you guys are making that alcohol and water blend to spray the cutting boards, charcuterie boards, and that kind of stuff, is there a specific ratio from water to alcohol? Is it just kind of like eyeballing it? Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Boom.
Wow.
Yeah. You go first.
Okay, so anyway, there's really no real science to it. It's a 50-50 mix of, I think I just used regular rubbing alcohol. No, not rubbing. Yeah, isopropyl.
That's what I use.
Proprin, whatever the hell it's called.
You're not a chemist.
Yeah, so it's you take some rubbing alcohol, you mix it with some water, and then you have 50-50 mix, and then you spray it on the board. You let it dry. And the reason I learned this from Pete over at Ptreesworkshop, he was spraying his boards by accident with the alcohol and found out it dried quicker. So then he was able to sand quicker. And then he was able to get more boards out quicker. So it's actually helpful in the end because now you can do more in a shorter amount of time. I do know I actually turned a few people onto that mixture from them listening to the podcast, or I just mentioned it in the story as well. But as soon as I saw it from Pete's, I questioned, his story. I questioned on it and made my own. So a 50-50 mixture is a really good mixture for it. Get yourself a spray bottle. And one important thing, and this goes to our safety week, label the bottle with exactly what's in it because you don't want to think it's water. What?
Why? Why would you want to label that?
I mean, if you have like highly toxic, like acid for some odd reason that you're spraying your charcuterie boards with, you don't want to do that. You want to know it's acid. Last time I checked.
I agree with you. Always label your stuff. And I have an example why you want to do that. So I agree. Ditto for pretty much what you said. 50-50 mix. I use rubbing alcohol, water, and then that's what I use. Learned it from Peter. Yeah, ditto. Essentially, label your stuff. I have a little one that comes in the shop that likes to help me. And that spray bottle, until I learned that technique, was just water. So he would go in and he would ask, of course, and he would use it and he would spray random stuff.
Yep.
Like plants, chalk drawings on the sidewalk, you name it, just random stuff. It doesn't hurt anything. But then I did the 50-50 mix. He went in and he asked, and I almost said yes.
Until you remembered.
Until I remembered.
Yep.
And because it was labeled, I was able to say no. Because now, if he gets that in his eyes or he sprays it somewhere he shouldn't, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And that might not be the case for some of you guys or some of you girls out there where you have little ones running around. But then you have that husband that wife that comes out and goes, oh, I can use that to water the plants. And then they kill their favorite plant and they're going to kill you. And now it's unsolved murder and it's not worth it. Label your stuff.
Damn. You went like killed the plant and now you're in the ground where the plant is. You're being used as fertilizer.
It's a vicious cycle.
Very vicious. Apparently. I didn't know that's what the end result of using some alcohol water mixture, to kill your plant.
You never know, man.
Oh,
never
man.
know.
Whew. Anyway. So, yes, the alcohol, the other thing is, have you, real quick, because I want to get into some other things, have you noticed a big time difference in the drying, from using the alcohol to the water?
Absolutely. Because when I spray it, I drench it like it's dripping when it's done.
Damn.
And then I leave it in the sun or I leave it where it gets some air. That's what cookies or whatever. And it dries real quick. And I can go ahead and start sanding again. I usually do it 2 to 3 times depending on the wood. And I'm able to get those knocked out much, much faster.
Oh, yeah.
As an example, real quick, I did with just water in the middle of Jersey summer in the sun, and it took like, I don't know, I would say half hour because I don't know the actual time for it to dry and me to do it again. This takes maybe 15 minutes. I would say almost half the time.
Well, I mean, especially if you're drenching it, like with a garden hose, I mean, just holding the hose over it and like just letting it pour into it. I mean, if you put them in your bathtub and let them soak up until they're swollen, yeah, it's going to take a while. But I'm always afraid of
Okay, you're talking about I'm extreme.
Well, I mean, you said you have a cutting board that's dripping water off of it. So I'm expecting like a sponge. I'm thinking you can just like take the cutting board and like wring it out.
We're not going off track. Okay, we're going to steer back to some of these other questions. Hopefully that answered your question, Kumo. Thank you for doing an audio file so we could throw it up there. Mannmadeinma wrote in asking about shop organization, how we do it, why we do it, and some thoughts on that. So I'll go ahead and take this one because you took the last one. That's fair, right?
Yep, that's perfectly fair.
Cool. So shop organization. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I guess every time. No,
nice.
I've basically learned through shop error and what works for me. I mean, I'm still trying to make it better because you know what? The better shop organization is, the smoother my operations are, the faster I get things done.
Mm-hmm.
The French cleat was definitely a game changer in my shop.
Yep.
The carts I've built and the different storage areas that I have made a game changer in the shop. It is all about looking at how you want to operate in your shop, find a way that's going to make it work better, and then go with it. As my wife says, try it out. Build the cart. Do what you need to do because you're going to probably change it in 6 months anyway if you don't like it. It's worth trying because you never know what's going to be the win and what's going to need improving or just rework.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be scared to move the shop around and try something different. That's my my takeaway from basically this last year of trying to set up my shop to make it work perfectly for me.
Well, I definitely know the French cleat wall has improved. I have a question. Since you're very organized, where is your pencil and your tape measure right now?
So I have a bunch of pencils that have magnets on them, and I have them hanging on all my metal tools. I also have a Deadpool that I 3D printed and painted that I posted about that has a bunch of sharpened pencils ready to go. My tape measures, I have at least one in where I keep them, and the other two are scattered throughout my shop.
Do you know where they're scattered?
Yes, they are in my shop, sir.
Good answer. So Josh is very organized. But anyway, the French cleat wall has been a huge improvement. And I kind of went a little, hard on it and really got the French cleat like dialed into the way it could be utilized and then kind of backed off of it because I had other projects coming up. But I also have a second French cleat wall that I want to build near the CNC to get myself organized over there because there's a lot of wasted space. And you don't really notice it when you're in the moment. You notice it after you build this little cabinet thing. And it's not even a cabinet. It's literally a box with a divider in it that I hung on the wall that collects more than it can hold. So I want to get the French cleat up so that I can put, organize all the 3D print stuff. I can organize my CNC stuff because it's literally right in front of me. And I push it out of the way all the time. I want to be able to store stuff away from the CNC area, away from the 3D print, because it's a nice bench. It's a nice size bench where I could still do other things while the CNC is going. I might be able to clean up a carve or something like that. But one of the biggest things that really got me organized besides the French cleat wall is I was watching a video on YouTube by Steve Ramsey, and he was just doing some basic, tips to bring into your shop, and it was to clean up your bench every night after you're done because it's going to get filled with stuff, and then you're going to leave it and then come back the next day, and now you have to clean it up then. Maybe you don't feel like cleaning it up, but one of the things that helps with organization is I got to clean my bench off almost every single night after I'm done in the shop, because if I don't, then my next day is it's garbage, because now I got to clean up and I can't be productive because now I'm worrying about putting this away, putting that away, and always put it back where you took it from. Just don't be lazy and go, there's a bench over here. I'll put it over there. I'll put it on the windowsill. Definitely keep yourself organized by putting the tools back.
So you're putting stuff away, you're cleaning off your bench. So I believe we had a question from Scranton Craftworks, basically a discussion on motivation. How do you get motivated enough to do that? Because sometimes when I leave that shop, I'm done. Like, I wouldn't want to cut anything else. I wouldn't want to glue anything else. I'm done. I'm ready to go inside, to crash on the couch for a minute, and then go upstairs.
Yep.
Where do you get the motivation when you have nothing left to give?
Well, you kind of have to, because I look at it as, if I don't do it now, I'm going to have to do it tomorrow. Then that's going to get into my time of being productive. And it's almost like it's something you have to do. So instead of working, let's just say you want to end at 11 o'clock at night, you end at maybe 10:30, take that extra half an hour to clean up. Even if you don't want to, I find it sometimes relaxing, but also overwhelming, because, now I got to take all these tools away. One other thing, so you don't have a ton of stuff, after you're done with something, put it away. I have a bad habit of, if I use my drill and I'm done with it, I leave it on my bench and go grab, let's just say, a screwdriver. Now I have pliers. Now I have this and that. So you won't have to clean up as much if you put it away as you're working, because then you won't have to worry about it later on. So I think the motivation comes with, I know tomorrow is going to be a better day because my area is clean. I'm not walking into, a whirlwind of just stuff all over my bench. And I think that's what helps me stay motivated to get it cleaned up. And, there was also another side to his question, and because I'm reading it now, but his motivation had to also deal with, how do you motivate yourself to get into the shop? Because you and I, we both have full-time jobs, and then this is our little side thing. So how do you motivate yourself after you worked all day? You wake up early, you go to work, you come home, now you got to go back to work. It's not that I just get to sit on the couch and relax. How do you motivate yourself to go into the shop after a long day?
Well, I mean, like tools. Sometimes in the beginning and sometimes now, where I got to get this job done and I can get this nice tool. Or it's, setting myself up for success the next day, where like, I might have to do a part of this project and really work at it today, but tomorrow it's going to be easy and I'm going to start enjoying it because it's something I'm really comfortable with. The motivation comes from different parts in the project. Sometimes it comes from the two I mentioned. Sometimes it's just like, honestly, I love being in the shop, and when I'm in the shop, I have to get stuff done.
Yep.
But there's been a couple times too where it's like, if I get this project done, I don't have one right after, and I can actually do a shop project. I can do something for the shop. And I love doing shop projects. Like, I honestly, when I stop taking orders around Christmas time, I'm going to take like a week off where I'm not doing anyone else's order. And I'm going to go out there and do some shop projects and get my shop set up. So when I continue to do orders again, it's going to be, a little further along than what I left it. It differs on the day. Sometimes it's easy as playing the right music. Sometimes it's easy as getting some shop coffee up there and then just, drinking some caffeine and going. Some days you can't. Some days you have no motivation whatsoever. And you really got to just find what works for you. And for me, most of the time is I need to get this project done. I want to get to the end of this project because I'm curious in how it's going to turn out. And I just press forward.
Well,
what about you, man?
Well, to really tag on that, there's also that fine line of you don't want to. If you're not this is different than just motivation, but if you're tired and you don't feel like it, maybe there's something out there telling you you shouldn't be in the shop, because if you do go out, it could not be the safest situation as well, because
or you can mess up on your actual project and have to start over. Yep. We both have had that.
Oh, big time. And then not only, you're not hurting yourself, physically, but now you just hurt yourself because now you put yourself backwards instead of moving forward. So definitely, and I really hope Kim's listening to this in the other room, but you got to listen to your body, because, and I know she's going to smack me when she hears this when it releases, because she's always telling me, you got to listen to your body. If your body's telling you, that you can't, you just can't. And there's some days that I literally walk into the house, I have something to eat with her, and then I pass out on the couch, because, the whole week prior, I was up until midnight every single night, and then waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go to work. So my nights are real short that I get to sleep. But, my motivation to get into the shop is, one, I have a lot of projects to get done. I really enjoy doing it. And I've mentioned this before, but working with my hands has kept me and my brain in a very good spot. It's helped me get over a huge hurdle in my life, which was getting sober. And I find it relaxing. I find odd things relaxing, because I find sanding relaxing, just, as we've discussed before.
Weird.
There was something else that I just found extremely relaxing, and somebody was like, really? Like that was relaxing? I don't remember what it was. It was one odd thing, almost just as odd as sanding. And I found it extremely relaxing. But, motivation definitely is, there's projects that are going to motivate you. Kim motivates me all the time. It's my own self, how do I want to say it? Like my
morals.
I was going to say more like pride. Like, I pride myself on getting stuff done. And, seeing a finished product. I don't want to see stuff half done. I want to see stuff get done and then get out. And hopefully I take a picture of it.
The customer's eyes when you deliver it. I mean, having them see it light up and be extremely happy.
Oh, yeah.
That is motivation too. The last shelf that I did, it was delivered. They were ecstatic about it. That makes you feel so good. They gave me, finished product pictures, hanging up in their bar. It was amazing. And, motivation can come from products too, like Totalboat. Totalboat, we have a bunch of epoxy in our shops.
Yep.
And I have the stuff I need to go out there to finish some projects and make them look even better than they could have without it. So, thank you to Totalboat for sponsoring us and giving us those products, because I use them almost daily when I'm in the shop. If I'm not using it on an actual product for a customer, I'm using it for myself. And it's just so many uses between their varnish, their epoxy, and just all the other stuff they offer in their actual shop. So go check them out if you haven't already. If you have questions about it, you can ask AJ or myself, or even ask their customer service, because they're spot on. And then Sticker Beat. Oh, man, Sticker Beat. I don't know if you guys watch my stories or not, but I have stickers on everything. My wife constantly reminds me I have stickers on everything, because she's like, you put a sticker on your book bag? I'm like, yeah, it's Sticker Beat. It's 3 in vinyl. It ain't coming off unless I want it to come off. Same thing with my water bottles, coffee mugs, and whatnot. Goes through the dishwasher. I have been having stickers on my coffee mugs and my water bottles for like 6 months.
Wow.
They're not coming off yet. But because of what they use, the 3 in vinyl, I can peel it off at will, and it leaves nothing behind.
Yep.
Great quality stickers with Peel Here. We have a promo code for 20% off. 20% off is huge. Okay? And you can go ahead and do that with this promo code of Sawdust Nation, no spaces.
Yeah, no, don't put a space, because it doesn't work.
Absolutely not.
I learned.
But, man, with that, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. And, as always, you guys can always reach us at our Instagram pages. We have 3. We have Crafted in NJ, a wonderful page that you should be following by now.
Yes. Everybody should be following, because I'm putting out amazing content, and these flags are just getting better and better.
I don't know. I don't know how you've done it, but your flags are getting better and better. Like I honestly, I sit there and I'm like, how is this better than the last one? And like it truly looks better than the last one. Your process is amazing, and it's just like you said, getting better. Then you can follow myself, Josh, at North Country Woodworking, and I'm like, you should be following me. No, go ahead, follow me. You know, I'm a little dorky. I like laughing. I like, kidding around. Message me, go ahead. And then we have the podcast page at Sawdust Nation Podcast. Go ahead, DM us there. We both have the login information, so you never know who you're really talking to, which makes it somewhat fun. And, we'll answer your questions. If you want to ask questions for the podcast, we love interacting with people on there. And then lastly, we have our Gmail account, which you can send your audio files to or anything of that sort. And that's sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep. And, you thank Totalboat. I want to thank him as well, for sending us this stuff, for supporting us in this podcast journey and our woodworking journey with the whole woodworking community. As Josh said, thank you so much to Totalboat and to Stickerbeat, because they are big supporters of the community. They reach out, they talk to you, they'll answer any kind of questions you have, and they have amazing products. And I wouldn't even if Totalboat wasn't sponsoring us, I would say the same thing, because I stand behind their product. I love their stuff. If you've ever used it, or if you haven't, go try it, because there's new products that, maybe you didn't try yet. I know for a while I wanted to try that Halcyon. I picked it up. I bought a thing of it, and it was the best finish I've put on, and I knew it would stand up because it's a marine finish. They use them on boats all the time. So I know my little flag that's going to be hanging outside is going to be fine. Actually, I'm going to be using the Halcyon that they sent us on the false floor that my buddy's going to be getting for his Mercedes, because I want it to be protected from the, it's going to be in a trunk. So I want it to be protected from the elements, moisture, humidity, this, that, the other thing. And I know it's going to be protected by it. Josh is telling me to wrap up quicker because I'm taking too long. And at this point, if you
look, we could both talk about Totalboat all day because we've been using it for such a long time. But
now you're going to
need to get this show on the road. Yeah, I like talking too.
But now you're taking me away from telling everybody. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review, leave a comment. The 5 stars help us get ranked a little bit higher so that more people can enjoy the Sawdust Nation. And, come to find out what they're missing out on that you guys aren't. So rate us higher, 5 stars only, and then we get to be promoted to a different, more people that we can get our name out to. But with that, I wanted to say that I love everybody, and this has been a great episode 24, and I will talk to everybody later. I don't know about Josh. I'll talk to everybody later. I love you all. You have a great night. I'm out.
No bye-byes?
Bye-byes.
You can always reach me. Ask me a question. Love to hear from you guys. Like always, Sawdust Nation out. Sawdust Nation out. Out.
Is that Sawdust Nation with a space?
No. Sawdust Nation out. Get it. And
I broke my belt. Machinery.
The machines are rebelling. Everyone run away.
I had a laugh out there. Thank God I got a laugh out there.
Use a push stick.